We definitely need some WD-40 on those brakes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another hard-hitting episode of Full Throttle here on Unprecedented TV, where we tackle issues hitting British drivers hardest. I'm Paul Naylor, Communications Director for the Alliance of British Drivers, and today we're exposing the truth about road safety, focusing on how flawed speed limits and enforcement ignore the real dangers like poor observation. And I'm here today with not one, but two Brians. You wait for two to come, well, for one to come along and you get two. Brian, over to you, sir.
No, we're like buses, banana buses in UK, in bunches. I'm Brian Gregory. I'm Policy Director of the Alliance of British Drivers. Today we're joined by Brian Henderson, who, apart from having an MSc, is a road traffic collision expert with over 40 years of experience. Although retired 5 years ago, he'll share his insights and on speed myths and the overlooked risks to power two-wheelers, motorcycles and motor scooters. And a special thank you to our viewers for the amazing support for our recent episode with David Turver, Howard Cox and Catherine Porter on the net zero scam. So your engagement fuels what we're doing. Buckle up. This is Full Throttle.
And now it's time to welcome Brian Henderson. Hello, Brian. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, gents.
Good to see you. So
Yes, yeah.
just for our viewers, Brian, could you just give us a brief introduction about yourself and your background in the industry, please?
Yeah, I was a traffic cop with Cumbria Police. I joined the police in 1981, and I was traffic cop for about 8.5 years. I left the police service in 94 to start a business dealing with road traffic collisions, essentially. I built up a business, went back to university, and I started a business. The business was GBB UK, was one of the largest consultancies in the UK. And we were involved in crash testing, all sorts of things, reconstructing motor vehicle collisions from minor cases through to those more serious, catastrophic and unfortunately fatalities. And so I've been dealing with motor collisions now for well over 40 years. And I would class myself really as semi-retired. I'm still a member of the Chartered Society of Forensic Sciences. It's a little bit difficult to let go sometimes. I'm always available if people want to speak to me. That's the way I put it. I tend to do it for nothing now because it ends up with friends and family ring me up and say, "Can you just sort this out for me?" So whilst I've left the stage in full, I'm still here, really.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, Brian, one of the things that we've been proposing in ABD for a long time now is an independent road accident investigation and prevention board with people with your sort of background and with marine and aviation background to really look into fatal and serious injury accidents forensically and determine what the major causes are. Because my concern is that there's different types of speed. There's illegal speed, which is breaking whatever the speed limit is, but there's also excessive and inappropriate speed. And the problem is DFT rolls them all into their definition of excessive speed, I think they call it. But the problem is they're not exactly the same. And there are roads where it is perfectly safe to exceed current speed limits because of the way they're being set at the moment. But there are other places where it's extremely inadvisable to use, a high speed. But the government seems to be on the page that, well, if we just say that, it's speed that causes a third of accidents, well, it might do, but illegal speed's only really responsible to about 3 to 5%. So the rest of those accidents, the excessive and inappropriate ones, are not covered by speed enforcement because they happen below the speed limit.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'll tell you the problem. If you go back 30 years, perhaps, a number of forces in the country had a dedicated collision investigation unit.
Yeah,
and they upped their game dramatically.
Yeah.
Some forces are better than others, but on the whole, the collision investigation units in this country are really pretty good. And you'll find that an awful lot of those people are in the Institute of Traffic Accident Investigators, as I was for over 25 years, full membership in there, and the standards are very, very high. And what they tried to do at one point was almost get like the forensic science services and societies it used to be. Now the Society of Forensic Sciences perhaps oversee that. And I if there was a little bit more governance around that, that might be a fairly simple way to introduce what you want. If you want to start doing something completely different, you've got no chance now in this country. Absolutely no chance. There's no money for them to police simple things. So trying to get them to look at really serious matters is a pointless exercise. Yeah,
well, that's the worry I've got, and the current drift is very much revenue directed because, as you say, there's no money. So that whatever chances there are to raise money from road users are used to the fullest extent.
I think you're right. You say a lot of the frustrations I get, and this is where I contradict myself sometimes, because if we've enough time, I'm going to talk to you about speed, because speed is an issue. But I take about what you say. There are certain roads that I use quite frequently. I go up and see the kids and the grandkids up in Cumbria, and some of the roads through North Yorkshire are perfectly straight, wonderful roads that you think, well, if I'm doing 65, 70 on there, I don't have an issue. Yeah. What you find is every time on that road is there's a speed camera van. Yes. Now, the reason the speed camera van is there, now the problem is it is used by a lot of motorcyclists, so I accept that. And motorcyclists, and I speak myself, I was a motorcyclist for a long while. I'm a police class 1 car driver. I'm a police class 1 motorcyclist. I was part of the motorcycle escort team for the Royal Visits. I've done things with motorbikes that most people would never do. So I still consider myself as a motorcyclist. The problem is an awful lot of motorcyclists are reckless.
Yes.
That's why they buy these bikes that will do ridiculous speeds. And I'm trying to think of a more modern bike ride. I was going to say they all think they're Barry Sheen, but that's from a long, long time ago, clearly. But that's the problem with them. They put the helmet on and they think they're safe, and off they go. They drive like lunatics. And so the camera vans there are trying to catch those people, but they catch everybody else that's traveling 2 or 3 mile an hour above the speed limit, and will send you then on a speed awareness course, or they want to fine you. Right? Now, that's got nothing to do in that regard for road safety. If you wanted to just catch the proper people, well, just fine them. You know, your problem is it's all down to an individual's. Let me take you back. Look, when I used to do, if I ever did anybody for speeding, right, they deserved it. Right, they deserved it. You were very unlucky if I reported you for speeding, because I was very good at catching villains. I was good at doing other things. You know, the police officers should be doing, advising people. You'd stop them, and I used to say to them, I can either give you a rollicking, or I can report you. What would you want? And they'll say, oh, I'll have a rollicking, please. So, but they used to get one. They used to get one. Now, the problem is now that you know, you get tickets through the post, you get this, you get that, and you just think there is no policing of bad behaviour and bad driving, and it is bad driving. I would agree with you. This is where we do agree, I think, fundamentally, that driving standards are the issue. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I believe that. Certainty. There's no question, Brian. Absolutely.
Yeah, and unfortunately, and I've used this word before. We had a very brief discussion before we came on air, but the word I would use in society as a whole, standards. And standards in life, whatever it is, have gone.
Yes.
And you know, it saddens me deeply that standards in this country have dropped. Nobody has time for anybody. People are selfish. They want this instant gratification. So, you know, it feeds through to driving, and therefore, you know, I'm in my car, I will do whatever I want to do. And that's the problem. And it comes with either parking, or it doesn't matter. You see people that one of my bugbears, you know, a very simple thing, but it's really quite dangerous. People park on the wrong side of the road.
Yes.
So they're cutting through the traffic. Park on the wrong side, on the yellow lines, do whatever they do. Problem is then when they come out, they're then facing oncoming traffic. But they cause mayhem for it. But we're not bothered. You know, I'm okay. It's up to me. I can do whatever I want.
I mean, we've got some figures that, I mean, they date back almost 10 years now, but around 2.8% of crashes are actually tied to speeding. But it seems that poor observation is quite a major issue. How might we better address that over the speed focus?
I think it goes down to tuition and instruction.
Yes.
One of the ideas I had many moons ago, I probably shouldn't throw this out there, somebody might do it and start a great business now. But I thought about having building a track almost like, and having lessons for people before they started even driving. And I'm going to throw something contentious in now. They might say, oh, you're old and you're grumpy. But I wouldn't give people a driving license at 16, 17 years of age. I think they're too young. Yeah. I think, given how dangerous a motor vehicle is, I think it should be 21. I know I'm going to get boos and hisses all over for that. But the younger kids now are either, well, I'll give you for an instance. Last week there was a collision on the main road, which is just adjacent to where I live now, and the guy careered into 10 vehicles, but he'd been drinking and he was coked up. Yes. And I think you're in the minority if you don't take cocaine these days. Never tried it. Not interested. Thank you very much.
None of that.
Not for me.
But what does happen with these things? You know yourself. When people do take these types of drugs, they think they can do super things. They suddenly become. They think they're great drivers, but no, actually, you're not. You're not.
And the perception is grossly impaired. But they're drivers, as you say, the drivers, if they're superheroes, but all of their perceptual skills have been degraded by the drugs or alcohol.
They have, and people's perception in it. You can see them when you watch people drive, and you can see that they're not aware. Yeah. You know, and my wife goes mad. She says I'm the worst passenger in the world. And I said, look at this guy. He's not even watching what he's doing, or he's on the phone, or is this. You just know that they're not paying attention. And that's your biggest problem. And I do think if you've got to take it back to the time when people start having driving lessons properly, and if there was a proper driving centre that you had to go to, and I'd almost make it a GCSE subject or something like that. It's got to start earlier. It's got to start earlier.
It's tried something similar in Sweden, where they actually have off-road centres where they take people who are coming up towards qualifying for their driving licence, and they do off-road training before they actually get into a motor vehicle on the road. And it had quite a big effect on casualties in Sweden.
I think it would. And I'd have a skid pan on it, because obviously everybody would love that. Well, let's have a go at the skid pan. But actually, it teaches you how to control the vehicle properly. I would also introduce it for the elder drivers, see people say that haven't driven for some time, or as you're getting a little bit older, just you know. And I still think it's relevant. I thought of that donkeys years ago. I probably should have done that, but anyway, here we are.
No, I think that's a good idea. I mean, it goes back to really what you were saying about people's standards as well. Have you found in your line of work as well that over the years, would you say that 17 and 18-year-olds these days are perhaps less mature than they were in the 80s and the 90s?
Well, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
They're certainly less mature than they were in the 70s. Let's put it that way. I just think there's a recklessness about people. That and I don't. They find it normal, don't they now? And you know, the people our age. I might be the oldest. I don't know. But people our age, you know, it was normal to be polite and give people time, and you know, but that does extend to driving, that's for sure. So I think that's one of the biggest issues. I think
it's a really valid point, very valid point.
And certainly I think, you know, there's a view that indication means I'm coming out. You know, I'm going to pull out, whatever. It doesn't mean I would like to come out. I'm just warning you that that's the case.
You
know,
or indeed it means I've just pulled out in front of you.
And I've just blinked at the two.
Indicator left on, indicator, then start moving. The indicate and pull out at the same time. Well, you might as well not indicate if you're going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that for me, that there are two things really. I mean, essentially for me, the driving process is you observe what's going on, you perceive hazards, and then you formulate a response.
Yeah.
And this iterative process goes on like that. I mean, it's a bit more complex than that, but that's it, simplifying it.
So what you're talking about there, perception and response, is something obviously in collision investigation we look at all the time. That something occurs in front of you, you have to perceive a problem for starters.
Exactly.
And then you have to decide how to react to it. So your perception and reaction time could be anything up to 2 seconds.
Yes.
So, we're talking about motor cars, the car has to respond to the input you put in. But there will be a period of 2 seconds where nothing happens. Now, the issue with this, and which is where we may disagree slightly on the speed issue, that as the speed increases, you've got a greater distance, because if you double the speed, it takes 4 times the distance to come to a stop. Because of the energy squares. So at 30 mile an hour, roughly, if you were sliding to a stop, it's about 13.1 meters. By the time you reach 60 miles an hour, it's 4 times that. So that's where speed does become an issue. But I do think it's intertwined to the other issues. It's not the speed per se. It's because it's intertwined with the other issues.
Yeah, and the circumstances are key to that. And for me, there are 2 key to critical questions, and these are the 2. I believe I can drive safely if my speedometer is not working, but I suspect a lot of people don't. But the second question, I mean, it's self-evident. If the windscreen's obscured, then you won't have any hazard perception or observation whatsoever. So the key thing is to watch out what's going on outside the windscreen, not inside the car. Or outside of where your motorcycle is, or whatever vehicle you're driving, or even indeed as a pedestrian, you need to be looking at what's going on, because road safety is a shared responsibility. You can't shovel all the responsibility over onto the motorized road user if you've got vulnerable road users who are doing things which are, reckless.
I'll tell you another problem is that the pedestrians generally are perceived when you're dealing with these cases and they go to the court, that the pedestrians are the ones that are effectively innocent. That seems to be the starting point.
Yes.
And obviously there's been a change in the Road Traffic Act, various other things, the Highway Code. And strictly speaking, now, if you're turning left and there are pedestrians waiting across, you're supposed to let them go. It hasn't made a bit of difference. Nobody does.
No, well,
because it goes back to what I said about the selfish thing. I'm in a rush and I'll do whatever I want.
No, but as a pedestrian, I will not step into the road if somebody's turning left, because it's a stupid thing to do.
No, exactly. But
so
and not unlike, you'll double check, make sure somebody's indicating, won't you?
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, the other thing, even if they're indicating, I will wait until they're showing sign of, as a driver, of actually making that move before pulling out at a junction, because otherwise.
But you're going to get to a circumstance where you've got 2 bloody-minded people, if you like. The pedestrian thinks, I know my rights, I can walk out. And then, like you say, the other Brian, somebody's just going to just carry on doing the way they drive anyway.
Exactly.
And that's when you're going to get your accident.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'll throw this out there. It might be obvious, this, but as a pedestrian, you ought not to be doing it, because chances are you're going to come off worse.
Exactly. So why needlessly put yourself in danger?
Absolutely.
And a lot of this stuff around giving cyclists a 1.5 meter clearance, which I try to do, absolutely, but it doesn't work the other way, because they will come off onto the wrong side of the road to pass a parked vehicle. Whereas if you're a motorcyclist or another road user, you wouldn't do anything stupid like that, because you're putting yourself in danger.
Well, I find cyclists are a little bit selfish as well. They fall into that category for me, that I'll do whatever I want, and that's,
Yeah, and it's not really a good idea when you're riding a 2-wheel vehicle with no particular protection, and you're dicing with things weighing 1.5 tons and doing 60 or whatever miles an hour.
Exactly.
It's not prudent.
No.
But it's been legalized, but I don't think it's sensible. It's like a lot of things that are going on at the moment. It may be legal, but it may not be sensible.
Yeah.
Right, gents, we're going to go to a very quick break and we'll be back very shortly.
Okay.
So Brian Gregory, let's make it clear.
Yeah.
Brian Gregory, tell us a bit about what's going on in France.
Well, the French have, well, like many countries in Europe, are exploring something called Vision Zero, Nollvisionen, as the Swedes call it. And basically, this is trying to make roads so safe that there are no road accidents. Well, when you go back to fundamentals, when the road safety science was first developing, the road researchers did a study on accident risk against speed. It's called the Solomon curve. And what they found, and it's slide, just a minute, of the pack that I sent out. I'm just trying to work out where it is for Charlotte. In the pack that I sent out, it is slide 9, the Solomon curve.
There
slide
we go. That one.
Yeah, yeah. And basically what they found was, actually, when you looked at the speed distribution, the most dangerous drivers were the slowest ones. That's the left-hand side of the curve. The safest drivers were traveling not at the average speed, but they occupied the sort of 80th to 90th percentiles. So only 10% of the traffic was traveling faster than them, and 80% was traveling slower. And so that was how they reached the idea of setting speed limits at the 85th percentile speed when you measured free-flowing traffic, and with the tolerance, because obviously up to the 90th, those were the safest drivers. Well, what's been happening in recent years is that many countries, including the UK, are setting speed limits as low as the 50th percentile, which criminalizes 50% of speed distribution, including the safest drivers. The Swedes want to go to a situation where there are no road accidents, but if you look at the Solomon curve, that's impossible because you can't reduce risk to zero. So there's always going to be accidents, irrespective of what you do, unless you just stop people traveling altogether, of course, and then they'll find other ways to kill them.
And they wouldn't possibly do that, would they, this lot?
Of course not.
Don't tempt Providence, Brian. Don't tempt Providence. But so what the French did, following the Swedish Nollvisionen principle, was to cut the rural speed limit on route national roads, single carriageway rural roads, to 80 kph from 90 kph. They did that, had virtually no effect whatsoever on casualty rates. They stayed much the same, but basically that reduced economic activity by about 4.4 billion euros per annum. So there was a big economic drawback, and nobody does that cost benefit analysis when they look at road safety interventions. They don't look at, well, we might have saved, and they make claims about, well, you know, if you reduce speed by 1 mile an hour, you reduce casualties by 5%. Well, it doesn't actually work in practice, but what you do is you suppress economic activity, and there's huge economic costs, because theoretically you might have saved a few casualties, but you've slowed a load of other people down and basically depressed the whole economy.
Yeah, and I get that. You see, I'd separate you, mate. I think built-up areas should be looked at differently to open roads or whatever. And I say it because actually this is the way I was taught to drive as an advanced driver, that your speed limits 30s, 40s, 50s you had to stick to religiously.
Yeah.
If you didn't, the instructor would belt you with a stick on the knuckles. Right?
Yeah.
But when you reach the national speed limit out, you had to what they describe as make progress.
Exactly.
So you have to drive, obviously, as an advanced driver, because obviously you know we could be attending anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you had to make progress and drive as fast as you could in a safe manner.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, I'm not advocating that anybody else, if they're not trained, should be driving as fast as they could. You know, in a safe manner, because obviously it's about training and everything else. But my point is, I think that there should be far more tolerance on motorways or on clear roads without particular hazards and things like that. But this is where, you know, which is one of my bugbears, is where you find the traffic camera vans.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I did what you just said. I did some training with a guy called John Lyon, high performance course. Right. He used to teach hijack evasion, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, people like that. He was an amazing driver, and his vision, his hazard perception skills were outstanding. He was great.
And doing again, it's kind of training, isn't it? As human beings, we get better at things
if we practice them.
Practice and the level of training in the first instance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do think that is fundamental to where we are now. But you know, it is real frustration for me when I see the speed camera vans, because they're always in places. Let me take you back. Donkeys years ago, when we used to operate radar and laser for speed, whatever, the criteria used to be, we used to operate at accident black spots.
Yes.
This is where there were collisions. That's why we were there, right? Yeah. Where I see these camera vans now, they're not where there are accidents.
No.
They're not. It's to generate. It is to generate money. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a large major road, which is the A19, travels southwards, joins up with the A1 through the A168 in North Yorkshire, and it's just a speed camera alley now, and they're finding more and more creative ways. I mean, one of my colleagues, an ABD member, was actually caught by one of these cameras on the A19, and they'd driven the vehicle so far into a hedgerow that it was virtually invisible.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, let me tell you, Harrogate. We went to Harrogate Christmas before last, and I got stuck behind a camper van on the A59 for mile after mile after mile after mile. Right? Yeah. It comes to a point near Grassington where you come to the roundabout. As you come around the roundabout, there are then two lanes that travel up the hill.
Yes.
So I thought, right, I'm going to get past this guy now. Yeah. Guess what? As soon as you start to come past there, the van, 90% of the van is hidden by the bushes. And let me tell you, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Well, no, that's not. But it contravenes what is now IPCC guidelines, what used to be the ACPO guidelines.
ACPO guidelines, yeah. Still have a copy here, yeah.
Be visible and varied. But I mean, even that now, the camera vans in North Yorkshire are dark blue colour. They're quite nondescript.
Absolutely. Road safety camera partnership. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm afraid.
Thankfully, that particular day, the guy was picking his nose or having a cup of tea, and I didn't get done. But he actually spoiled my Christmas. It spoiled my Christmas because I thought
you might have been doing both.
I've driven all these years.
I've
not had points. I thought. Bloody hell, it's really
you were waiting for the letter, weren't you?
I'd actually formulated my letter and response before any. I've tortured myself for 2 weeks. Anyway, that was that.
So Brian H, do you think then that with all your expertise, do you think that road designs or speed cameras offer the best safety boost?
I don't think so at all.
No.
I'd rather see. I don't mind the cameras. Like on the main road, saying in the 30 limit or whatever. But what they do here in Lancashire is, I'll give you another little tale. You like my little tale? Right? But the first one is that they set the camera vans up so they catch people going to work, say at 10 to 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the main culprits are at tea time, and when the idiots are when they finish work, if they go to work, are flying up and down. That's where they should be and make a difference, right?
Yeah.
Now the camera van around here, and I've talked about the main road opposite. There's a friend of mine who's crossroad. He was a traffic cop for a long while as well. Looked out the window, and the camera van was the wrong side of the keep left bollards. Wrong side of the road, reversed in contravention of the keep left bollards.
Yeah.
Now I'm sorry, but that's 3 points out. So he wrote to them and said, "Do you know this is?" "Oh, well, we'll have a word with him." "Oh, you'll have a word with him, will you?" Well, why don't you on that day write to all the people that have been done by him who's parked illegally and in contravention of the? Why don't you just say to them, "This time, slow down a bit. We're going to let you off. Thanks very much."
Exactly.
But no, what they will try and do is defend the position. And I go back to this word again, and I did say I'd bring it back up. Standards.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, I think this has been going on a long time, because many years ago now, I was at a meeting, and it was one of these sort of environmental safety conferences things. And Andrew Howard of the AA, he was talking, and I said, "Howard, if we want to improve road safety, the first things we should be doing is training road users better."
Exactly.
And so it's not worth trying to train road users; they're untrainable. Well, actually, the Class 1 police driver can be trained to be safe and expeditious.
Yes.
Then, if you trained all road users to maybe not that standard, but more towards it, you would get better road safety, and the payoff of the driving would be more pleasurable for those who practice.
See, but isn't that a ridiculous comment? Because otherwise, you'd never train police drivers in the first instance, would you?
Yeah, that's what I said to him. But his attitude of drivers are actually untrainable. And I think
that's why I do. I would bring it in at secondary school me as a GCSE for everybody, compulsory, compulsory.
Yes,
but I do actually think the kids would enjoy it.
Of course they will. Yeah.
Can you imagine if you were at school and somebody said, "I tell you, we're going to go down the skid pan or whatever today," and wow, fantastic.
Well, I mean, what better skill can you have in life than to have a driving license?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And people seem to forget that. But I think going back to what you've been saying, Brian Henderson, is that one of the biggest things here is that people get their licenses and they think that's it. I can do.
Yes.
I can drive now. Lifelong learning is a very important thing.
Very much.
So to have either advanced lessons or however you want to term it, whether it's a slightly different mechanism that's put in place, I think they need to learn again from time to time.
Well, they do, and I'll tell you the other problem is with people. They get in the motor vehicles, and they're all very comfortable. The heating's on, the music's on, and they think they're in the lounge or something at home. There's no danger to me in this car. Really? Goodness me. If you'd seen some of the things I've seen, then you would realise that that's not the situation at all.
Well, that's the modern car, isn't it? The modern car is so good.
The question was to put a spike in the steering wheel, boss, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But and motor vehicles have advanced, haven't they? But we haven't, have we? I'm not. It's taken a million years to create a world full of half-wits. So
I think it's worse than that, because you've got all these systems, and many of them now are touchscreen based.
Yes,
which diabolical.
Take your eyes off the road to do it.
Stuff which is crazy.
Yeah,
and I think they're actually backing away from that now and going back to tactile stuff, so buttons and things. You remember your old Ford Escort or whatever. You knew where the stereo thing was, and you could touch it and turn it without taking your eyes off the road.
You do realise we sound like three grumpy old men, don't you?
That might be quite an accurate description.
Well, you'll be surprised. It's never been levelled at me, that. if you believe that.
Really?
I would have to guess that our aggregate age is probably approaching 200.
Yeah, well, there you go. They say Charlotte will be able to tell you better whether I'm grumpy or not.
I think she just has.
Yeah,
she still owes you a pint, though.
At least one, I'll tell you. Many a tale I'll tell you about her. I'll tell you.
Brian, just coming back to our agenda, one of the things that we're concerned about with junction accidents is something called saccadic masking.
Yes.
Have you come across that? We've had several meetings with DFT and DVSA about this, and they say it's a peripheral low priority issue, but I mean, 25% of KSI accidents occur at junctions, and I'm absolutely cast iron certain that saccadic masking is a factor. I don't understand why they won't address it. I mean, we actually produced a video on it to explain what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe Charlotte, can we run that video now? And then, have we got a break scheduled?
Yeah, so it goes through me, this.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate, I didn't see you. Those words are often heard after a driver has pulled out in front of another road user. In most cases, the driver will have looked, but was fooled into thinking the road was clear because of the way our eyes and brain see things when we turn our heads. As we move our heads from side to side, our eyes send snapshots to our brain at intervals, in much the same way as a video camera records frames. Our brain then merges the snapshots, called fixations, into what we think is a continuous sweep. But that is an illusion. Between the fixations, there are blind spots, called saccades. If another road user happens to fall within one of these blind spots, they will not be seen. This is known as saccadic masking. The faster we move our heads, the shorter the fixations and the longer the saccades will be. So the risk of not seeing another road user increases, especially if they're a cyclist, motorcyclist or pedestrian. To overcome this, drivers need to adopt a different approach when checking if the road is clear. Instead of continuous head movement, a driver should pause for a fraction of a second to focus on at least 3 points when looking to the left and right to check close, middle and long distance. With practice, this can be achieved quickly and will overcome the normal limitations of the eyes and brain. It's also advisable to look to the left and right at least twice. If everyone put this simple advice into practice, up to a quarter of all road accidents could be avoided. This would be a major boost for road safety.
Yeah.
I have dealt with umpteen of those, both in the police and latterly as a court expert. Motorcycle accidents generally, the motorcycle is travelling faster than the speed limit, but invariably the car driver doesn't see them. And I would say, I would think it's at least 90% of the motorcycle collisions I've dealt with. That's the causation. Some of them, they lose control, they come off the bike or whatever. That's a different matter. But junction accidents are. And even when I was police motorcyclist, I'd come to, and you could sit there and I think, he hasn't seen me yet. And this goes back again to training, doesn't it?
Absolutely. For
both bike riders and car. There used to be a thing then that think once, think twice, think bike. If you remember back in the 70s, was a way of doing it. The motorcyclist is always going to come off worse, and even if they survive, they end up with serious lower limb injuries, life-changing injuries. And at junctions, I always take a bit long. I sound like I'm Mr. Perfect. I'm not. I'm fortunate. I've been trained to drive properly. And if my wife's in with me, I'll say to her, well, I'm edging out to look to the right. You keep looking to the left for me. And all she says to me, very simple, is clear left.
Yes.
We don't say anything else. Clear left, clear left, clear left. And then when I'm ready, I have another look as well to make sure that it is clear left. And that's how we do it.
Yes.
I don't want to be the one that pulls out in front of a bike. I'm telling you.
No, absolutely not. No, I totally agree. And I think just what we should credit the late Peter Roberts, who was an ABD member and was the guy who did the 1.8 million road user pricing petition that the government backed off from it the first time around. They're looking at it again now, but it was Peter who helped put that together, and it's an excellent road safety video. And I think DFT should adopt and use it.
But the thing is with the road user, we're a very easy target for taxation. Talking about bringing one in now, if your vehicle's over 1,600 kilos, they're going to charge you per kilo over that weight.
So that's all the electric vehicles then?
well, absolutely.
All electric vehicles.
I'm not being funny. If you went back to Gordon Brown, everybody should have been in a diesel. So everybody jumps to a diesel, and then you get spanked for having a diesel.
Yeah.
It's the same principle, isn't it?
It is. It
The
is.
motorist is easy target.
Yeah.
Easy target.
And then the motorist gets blamed for a policy government put in place to drive its own agenda, and then the agenda changes, and the motorist gets caned for it.
Yeah,
really.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
You see, you've got me going. There I am in central timing, nice and peaceful, enjoying myself, and now you get me fired up.
Can we send over some blood pressure tablets to Brian H, please?
I'll tell you what, thankfully I don't have high blood pressure, but Mrs. Henderson does, and she's got to live with me now this evening. So there you go.
Oh, well, I'll put this one to you then. So safety improved more pre-1991 than with today's enforcement. So could vehicle tech be outpacing speed rules in keeping roads safe? So that goes back, I suppose, a bit to what we were saying before, where cars are so comfy these days, and with all the gadgets in there, that we get complacent, don't we, when we're changing radio channels or altering the heat and the ambience of the cockpit. So do you think that's a major problem these days?
I do. I think of late some of the ADAS systems that have come in, the driver assistance systems, will help. But I think the other problem with that is what you're doing then is saying to the driver, well, actually, you don't have to worry too much about this because the car will do it for you.
Yeah,
complacency.
And it sends the wrong message, doesn't it?
It does.
Let's think about seatbelts and airbags just for the moment. And I put ADAS in the same thing. The airbag is a supplementary restraint system.
Yes.
And the airbags come in, you started to get people then who didn't wear seatbelts. Right?
Yeah.
I've got two fatals where the airbag's gone off, kill somebody. Right?
Yeah.
Supplement, there's a clue in that it's supplementary. But the problem is you tell people seatbelt that the airbags are so good, oh, we'll forget about the seatbelt now.
Yeah.
So now all these driver systems are that good. The driver thinks, oh, well, actually, maybe I don't have to pay as much attention.
This is one of our big concerns about ISA, so-called intelligent speed adaptation, where it reads the road signs and the speed limits and adjusts the speed without input from the driver. It leads to complacency. Oh, well, the technology will sort it out. Well, actually, no, it won't.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to, driverless cars and all that. Well, I wouldn't want one anyway, a driverless car.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
I don't say they want. And once of a day, I don't know, I see it sound again, I sound like this old grumpy old man again. Once of a day, driving your car was enjoyable, wasn't it? You wanted to go places.
Yeah.
I don't know, because the country's full up.
Yeah, there was such a thing as a Sunday driver. You'd go out for a drive. Nobody does that now.
Enjoy it. No, I don't enjoy it anymore.
No,
it's sad, really.
Being made to be less enjoyable to discourage people from doing that.
I'll tell you what I do enjoy it. I enjoy it when we go through Europe and drive through France and things like that.
Yeah.
That's when it does become enjoyable.
Yeah.
They seem to have a different. They still like giving you speeding tickets if they can. I once got flashed down near Monaco, but I managed to get out of the country before they come after me.
Yeah, I suppose if you want there's stretches of German autobahn with no speed limit.
No, that would worry me. I wouldn't really want to be on there because all the idiots will be attracted to it, won't they? They're a bit like moths to the light.
Well, yeah, I mean their accident rate is slightly higher than ours. It's not massively, but it is higher. And I mean, I have driven on German autobahns, but what discouraged me was at the time I had a four-wheel drive Golf. It was quite a quick car, and I thought I'll give this thing its head. And I was, I don't know, doing 125 something miles an hour. I looked at the fuel thing, and it said I was doing 7 miles per gallon. So at 85 miles an hour, it was doing 28 per gallon. I thought I can live with that.
You see, we talk about speed limits in the UK. It's 70 mile an hour. It was only supposed to be a temporary speed limit. This wasn't it when the fuel price was on way back.
By a minister who didn't hold a driving license. Barbara Castle, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And when she was fairly local to it, I think she was the MP for Blackburn. For donkey's years, Now I would have no objection if the speed limit was 80, but the thing is, you've got to what tolerance are you going to give? I go back to the time when I used to do it. I'd give somebody 10 mile an hour easily, and if you're on the motorway, I rarely did anybody under 85 miles an hour, unless they were accompanying circumstances. Say if it was wet or I've been behind them a while and they hadn't taken any notice, things like that. Then, like I say, if Brian Henderson did it's a rare thing if you got it off me. You should put it on the wall, really. But if you did, because you deserve to get done. And that's how I used to be. Would I deserve to get done for this? If the answer to that was yes, well, you got done. And that's how it should be.
That was the regime that I when I was first learning to drive and driving, that that was how I perceived it to be as well. You would get done, or you would get a bollocking if you'd done something stupid.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whereas now they're obsessed with 2 or 3 miles an hour over. It's almost like there's targets with them. They're almost like automatons, these people. They sit behind this laser gun and all they're bothered is about getting numbers in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. You don't see any. Do you see any traffic cops anymore stopping people, advising them? You don't see any of that. Advising the bad driving. That was better policing than.
Of course it was.
You come down here, they see the camera, they slow down for a bit, and then they fire off again.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work.
It's productivity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we've just answered the next question that I was going to ask, actually. So we've already covered it, really. That we need a more intelligence-led speed enforcement regime, and more concentration on road user training, and less on sort of rigidity, and clamping down on outright stupid and dangerous behaviour.
Yeah, target the areas as well. It's what we used to do donkeys years ago. If there are areas where you thought there was a number of collisions of people complaining of dangerous driving and things like that, well, you blitz that area and you do something then that becomes a permanent solution to it.
Yeah.
Instead of picking on the areas and the people that you should not be doing.
Yeah. Well, it's a low hanging fruit thing, really.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I think it should be more of a sort of an arm around the shoulder than a fist in the face, really, shouldn't it? It should be sort of like, calm down, mate. You're going a bit fast, and you'll probably learn more from that than getting something through the post that's going to cost you £100, and all that's going to do is wind you up.
Well, because I think again that's part of the education, isn't it?
Well,
it's part of the education. Yeah. The Speedway, I've never been on it, but people have been on it. They said they do it on a Zoom call now. They're all bored. They don't really, if you're going to do it properly, like I said, if there was a proper urban driving centres, I think I described, what I suggested doing. But if you're going to have a proper education thing, do it like that. Make it meaningful. Make it think, well, actually, it is a couple of hours out of my day, but guess what? I did this. They showed me how to handle the car, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and it doesn't just have to be related to speed. It can be about observation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because driving without due care is for me was speed. Honestly, speeders were the bottom of my list for when I was on traffic. I used to get more people for dangerous driving without due care, whatever. Yeah. And advise them for speeding. Yes. And if you get behind them, if they didn't see me for miles, you just think it's not the speed that's the issue; it's the fact that you're not paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it? Try your rear view mirror every now and then.
Exactly. And you're in a car that's lit up like Blackpool Seafront in September, and they still can't see you.
Yeah.
You just think, what on earth
are you doing? Yeah. Where is your mind? Yeah.
Yeah. I once stopped a guy who told me, he said, I'll have you know, he said, I used to drive tanks in the Second World War. And I said, yes, I can tell.
Brilliant.
Okay, I think we've covered most of what we wanted to talk about. Really, we've covered Solomon curve and speed limit setting and all the rest of it. Driver training.
Yeah.
And I think it's been clear to me, and it's obviously you see it the same way, that it's not just enforcement training. I think the other concern nowadays is when I first started driving, there were 3 E's to road safety. There was engineering, enforcement, engineering, education, and enforcement. We seem to have largely lost the first 2, and just it's a one-legged pony now.
Engineering is an issue. Years ago, I don't know whether you noticed this, but I used to work the M6. Most of the time, and we used to have gaps in the barrier, which called emergency crossovers, things like that. Or there was a little bit of arm core before a bridge and things like that. And engineering, you just think, how dangerous is that? And again, I dealt with a fatal once where somebody fell asleep, went up over the arm core, and went flat into the side of the bridge, killed him.
Yeah,
and that was down to the engineering.
Yeah.
All right, he shouldn't have fallen asleep. Don't get me wrong. It was a tragic incident. But if that arm cord hadn't have been there, the circumstances would have been different. So if we can sort out the engineering, education, I think is to me is the number one priority for this.
Absolutely. And there is a place definitely for engineering. I mean, near me, there's one of these awful transitional bends, which is a throwback from railway engineering. So the bend tightens as you go round it.
Yes.
Now that apparently is great for weight transfer for railways, but unfortunately you don't have a flange on the wheels of cars, so that weight transfer thing doesn't work. And
there's one on the M55 where you come off from Blackpool onto the M6 where it tightens up on itself.
Yeah, and I think
there's a great bit of road down in Kirby Stephen on the A685. It used to be a railway track.
Yeah,
long straight road, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah,
no junctions off it for some considerable distance. Fabulous bit of road.
Yeah.
Guess where the speed line will be?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Brian H., before we go, I was just thinking, with all your experience of going to these RTAs and different incidents, would you say there's a lot of those have been put down to the increasing amount of potholes that we get on the roads these days?
Oh, hellfire! They see it. Look, you say, "I'm just bringing my cell down," and you start again.
I'll take that as a yes.
There's some words I can't use on here. The country's a mess, isn't it? It's a mess. My goodness, the road. Once over there, your road tax, donkeys years when it was first brought out, was supposed to go for the upkeep of the roads and everything else.
Exactly.
It'll be diverted to anything, won't it?
Yeah.
So the roads, I don't know what it's where you guys are, but in Lancashire, they're absolutely horrendous.
Shocking around here. Yeah.
But you can go somewhere like Tenerife, and I noticed when we get picked up at the airport in Tenerife, the roads are beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that?
Like silk, aren't they? Yeah.
It's a question we should be asking because road users are paying over £1 billion a week to the Exchequer, and it's not getting back into road maintenance and road engineering.
No.
Well,
all they do is they'll come up with a little pothole. They come with a little pot of tarmac, and I could do that.
Yeah.
Give me a part-time job, I could do that. That's not the answer, is it? It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And if we've had to pay for new, which we have done, we've had to pay for new tyres and wheels as a consequence.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
It's just another way to try and take drivers off the road by not improving the road surface.
And it's almost like they're doing it by neglect on purpose.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know. I don't get it. But
well,
everything to get us there, I was very cheerful till I bumped into
you. There you go. At the risk of winding you up anymore, sir.
Hey, listen, it's easy. You can tell all these things just sit below the surface, can't you?
Just a very thin veneer.
Yeah, it doesn't take much for it to come out.
And I apologise to everybody who's watching that I seem to have the Casper the Friendly Ghost syndrome because my webcam has been playing up. And it's just whitewashing everything, and
it's like you're here as a special effect. We don't know exactly what's going on.
Probably I'm sort of Max Headroom clone or something.
Definitely.
What you'll have to do sometime is have a little 10-minute snippet bit when I try and remember some stories. I'll tell you some great stories from all these.
That would be good.
We'd love to have you back again, Brian. You've been brilliant.
You can sort of just jot them down so you can remember them, and then you can just fire them off, and we can sit and listen.
Because things spark you, don't they? Spark your memory, and you think, I can remember that. Yeah,
they certainly do. And
some of the excuses people give are unbelievable.
I bet. Right. Well, it's been brilliant having you as a guest, Brian. We'd love to have you again sometime, and we'll talk about more about road safety and your experiences over the years. But thank you ever so much.
Nice to meet you both. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Brian. Very much.
Bye-bye.